Hello everyone. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. The Arizona night clung to me like a second skin, the heat relentless even at midnight. I was Jennifer Blake, 3 months out of the academy, patrolling Shea Boulevard in my cruiser, the badge on my chest still feeling like an imposter's weight. The radio crackled to life, shattering the silence. Screams reported at 8425 East Monterey Way. Just another domestic, I thought. Too much booze, too much noise. Scottsdale's manicured cul-de-sacs rarely saw worse. I rolled up to the beige stucco house, its terracotta roof blending into the dark. No headlights, just instinct guiding me as I parked. The street was unnaturally still. No shouting, no sobbing, only the hum of distant AC units and the mocking chirp of crickets. The front door hung ajar, swaying in the desert breeze like a trap waiting to snap shut. My flashlight's beam cut through the gloom as I called out, "Scottsdale Police!" My voice bounced off the silent houses, unanswered. Inside, the air reeked of copper and something acrid, unnatural. The entryway table lay splintered, a shattered vase bleeding ceramic shards across the tile. Dark smears. Blood? Stained the walls. My gut screamed to wait for backup, but protocol demanded I check for victims. I edged forward, my mag light heavy in my hand, its beam trembling slightly. The living room flickered with the ghostly blue of a TV, and there they were. A family of 4, zip-tied and gagged, sprawled on the floor. The mother's eyes locked on mine, wide with terror, but she wasn't looking at me. She was staring past me, into the blackened hallway. Her muffled screams grew frantic as I turned, my flashlight slicing through the dark. Nothing. Just more smears on the walls, family photos tilted as if something had slithered past. The air grew thick, my breath loud in the silence. "Police! Show yourself!" I shouted, my voice cracking. The family's panic spiked. The kids were sobbing, the boy half hidden behind a couch. These weren't robbery victims. They knew their tormentors were still here, lurking. I cut the mother's zip ties, whispering, "How many?" She tore the tape from her mouth, gasping, "2 men. Upstairs. They're not done." A floorboard groaned above us, deliberate, heavy. My radio hissed. Backup was 12 minutes out. Too long. The lights died, plunging us into darkness so thick my flashlight's beam seemed to drown in it. The TV went black. The breaker flipped. "Get out!" I hissed to the family. "Run!" They stumbled toward the door as I faced the staircase, my gun drawn, heart pounding like a war drum. Footsteps descended, slow and mocking. 2 sets, unhurried, like predators savoring the hunt. "Police, stop!" I shouted. Laughter answered, low, guttural, 2 voices blending into a nightmare chorus. "Baby cop, all alone," one taunted. "Your backup's 8 minutes away, sweetheart. We've been listening." My blood ran cold. They'd been tracking my radio. Shadows moved at the top of the stairs, just beyond my light. I bolted for the kitchen, ducking behind the island, my breath ragged. The back door's moonlight was my only hope, but leaving meant letting them slip away to kill again. One entered the kitchen, his silhouette looming, a crowbar glinting in his hand. My radio betrayed me. "Back up, 5 minutes out." He spun toward me, his scarred face illuminated, eyes wild with malice. He lunged, crowbar raised. "Drop it!" I screamed, but he didn't stop. I fired, 2 shots, center mass. The deafening blasts echoed as he crumpled, the crowbar clattering. His partner's scream tore through the house. Not grief, but rage, pure, animalistic fury. "You killed him!" I scrambled for the back door, fumbling the lock as he crashed through the house, furniture splintering in his wake. The desert air hit me as I sprinted, vaulting a fence, his boots pounding behind. "You're dead!" he roared, closer, too close. Then, sirens. a chorus of salvation. His steps faltered, then stopped. Backup flooded the street, and they found him later, cowering in a drainage tunnel. Brothers they were, wanted for home invasions, hunting a family over an old drug debt. The family survived, shaken but alive, because I bought them those precious seconds. But that night haunts me. I see his scarred face, hear that laughter. I'm no rookie now, training others, telling them, trust your gut. The badge doesn't make you a hero. Sometimes, survival is victory. And when the victim's eyes scream warnings instead of relief, the real danger is still waiting in the dark. In the dead of a Colorado February night, the dispatch center was my fortress of solitude. 3 years as a 911 operator in this sleepy town, I'd grown used to the quiet, my studio apartment close enough to stumble home after long shifts. Most calls were routine, drunk drivers, squabbling couples, heart attacks. But one call, at 2:47 a.m., clawed its way into my nightmares. The caller ID flashed a payphone on Maple Street, a relic in the abandoned industrial district. Strange, I thought. Those phones had been dead for years. An elderly man's voice rasped through my headset, thick with terror. "Help me," he wheezed. 1847 Industrial Way, apartment 3B. Someone's trying to break in. They've been pounding for 20 minutes. They're coming through. The background echoed with relentless banging, like a heartbeat from hell. I dispatched officers Mitchell and Vasquez, keeping the man, Harold Brennan, on the line. "Stay calm, Harold. Help's coming. Tell me about exits." His voice fractured. "The walls, they're breathing with each knock. Can't you taste the copper pennies?" The line crackled, static pulsing in rhythm with the banging. I couldn't taste anything, but his words sank into my bones. He fell silent, only his ragged breaths breaking the quiet. Then, in a whisper that froze my blood, "They're inside. I can't see them. The air tastes like death." The line went dead, not disconnected, but a void that left my ears ringing. 5 minutes later, Mitchell radioed, "Apartment 3B, doors locked, no disturbance." They forced entry, and his voice returned, shaken. "We need the coroner. Elderly male, dead at least 24 hours. My stomach churned. Harold had been gone before I'd even picked up. Detective Brooks called me in the next evening, his face grim. The payphone, rusted, wires cut since 2014. No power, no connection. Yet my call was crystal clear, impossibly so for that ancient booth. Surveillance footage showed the booth empty at 2:47 a.m., the receiver dangling like a noose in the flickering streetlight. Harold's last call to 911 was 27 hours earlier, reporting chest pains. He'd cancelled the ambulance, saying he was fine. The coroner pinned his death, a heart attack, between midnight and 2 a.m. that night. Brooks slid a notepad across his desk. Harold's shaky handwriting scrawled on it. Called 911. Cancelled ambulance. Better to go quietly. Strange dreams. Mum's voice says the phone will ring when it's time. My vision blurred. The neighbor below heard banging that night, matching Harold's heart attack timeline. But nothing explained my call. A dead man's voice from a dead phone. I lasted 2 weeks before the dread broke me. Passing that payphone on my day off, I stared at its broken shell. The receiver swayed, and for a heartbeat, I heard a dial tone hum through the air. I quit the next day, fled to Oregon, took a job selling insurance. Safe, mundane. But Harold's voice haunts my dreams, that relentless banging echoing. I wake tasting copper, reaching for a phone that never rings, wondering if something was trying to save him or claim him. 6 years patrolling Washington suburbs taught me to expect the predictable, drunken arguments, noise complaints. But last September, a call to 1247 Elm Street turned routine into nightmare. I was with Officer Davis, a 12-year veteran, when dispatch sent us to a domestic disturbance in Maple Heights. The house looked like a postcard, White picket fence, pristine lawn, flower beds blooming with care. But no lights burned in the windows at 7:30 p.m., and the street was silent, as if the neighborhood held its breath. The screen door hung crooked, scuff marks scarring the steps. A crushed rose bled petals across the walkway. Davis nodded at the front window. Curtains twitched, then snapped shut. The air buzzed with menace, heavy as a storm about to break. My pulse quickened, every instinct screaming danger. Davis knocked, his voice steady. "Police, we received a disturbance call." A woman's voice, high and strained, answered too quickly. "Just a minute." A low male rumble followed, then hurried footsteps on hardwood. The door cracked open, revealing Christine, early 30s, her kind eyes masking panic. Her burgundy sweater seemed out of place in the warm evening, her hand gripping the doorframe, knuckles white. "It's a mistake," she said, her smile brittle. "Everything's fine." But her glances darted behind her, and a tremor betrayed her. In the shadowed hallway, a figure loomed, tall, still, predatory. His presence was a silent threat, watching us from the dark. Davis pressed gently. "Ma'am, we need to check on everyone's welfare. May we come in?" Christine's eyes flicked back, fear flashing before her forced smile returned. "Not necessary, just a quiet evening." Her hand brushed her throat, hiding something. I caught a glimpse of bruising on her wrist as her sleeve slipped. The man, Kevin, shifted in the shadows, his hand moving to his waist, a subtle threat meant for Christine. She whispered, barely audible, "He's right behind me." Davis switched to crisis mode. "Sir, step into the light." Silence stretched, Christine's fear a tangible weight. Kevin emerged, 45, heavily built, his grey eyes cold and calculating. "No problems here," he said, his voice a mockery of warmth. His hand clamped Christine's shoulder, fingers digging in, making her wince. Every movement was a masterclass in intimidation, his threats woven into gestures only she could read. Davis acted fast. "Ma'am, we need to speak with you privately. Standard procedure." Kevin's grip tightened, his jaw clenching, but he couldn't object without exposing himself. "No need," he said, his tone icing over. Davis stepped between them, and I blocked Kevin's path. The tension was suffocating, Kevin's body coiling like a snake. Then, in a flash, he drew his finger across his throat, a chilling warning to Christine. Her face drained of color, her knees buckling. "Hands visible! Step back!" I ordered, my hand on my weapon. Kevin's mask shattered, rage burning in his eyes. "You don't know what you're interfering with," he growled, but he retreated. Backup arrived, and we pulled Christine out, arresting Kevin for domestic violence, intimidation, and an illegal firearm found in the house. That night, Davis's quick thinking saved Christine. But Kevin's cold eyes and that throat-slitting gesture still haunt me, a reminder that evil can hide behind a white picket fence, watching from the shadows. The clock struck 2:47 a.m., its digits glowing like a warning in the dim cabin of Officer Jake Martinez's patrol car. 7 years with Austin PD had taught him to expect the unexpected on the East Side's graveyard shift, but nothing could have prepared him for the terror that night in March would unleash. The air hung heavy at 68 degrees, the streets draped in an unnatural silence, as if Austin itself held its breath. The radio crackled, slicing through the stillness. "Unit 47, distressed individual reporting a possible kidnapping in progress, moving eastbound on Highway 183. The dispatcher's voice carried a razor's edge, one Jake knew too well. It meant lives were on the line. He flipped on his sirens, their wail tearing into the night as his cruiser roared toward the coordinates. His pulse thrummed, his mind racing with possibilities, a custody dispute, a prank, or something far worse. Deep down, a primal instinct whispered that this was no ordinary call. At a desolate gas station on East Riverside, Jake spotted him. A wiry man in his 40s, pacing like a caged animal near the pumps. Carlos Mendez, a rideshare driver, was a wreck. His greying hair clung to his sweat-soaked forehead, his thick-rimmed glasses slipping down his nose as he trembled in the cool night air. His silver sedan sat askew, driver's door flung open, the glow of his phone's rideshare app casting an eerie light from the passenger seat. The moment Jake's cruiser pulled up, Carlos lunged forward, eyes wild with panic, words spilling out in a frantic torrent of English and Spanish. "Officer, please! You have to find him! The man with the gun! She made me follow that car for hours! I thought I was going to die!" His voice cracked, raw from screaming or sobbing, his gaze darting to the shadows as if expecting a spectre to emerge. Jake guided him to the curb, notepad in hand, trying to anchor the man's terror, long enough to piece together his story. What Carlos revealed sent a chill down Jake's spine, colder than the night itself. An hour earlier, Carlos had picked up a fare from a downtown hotel, a woman in her 30s, polished and poised, clutching a small purse. She seemed ordinary at first, sliding into the back seat with a calm smile. But instead of a destination, she'd pressed a black handgun against the back of his seat, her voice unnervingly soft, almost courteous. "Follow that blue SUV across the street," she'd said, her tone as casual as if ordering coffee. For over an hour, she'd forced him to tail the vehicle through Austin's darkened veins, past silent neighborhoods, shuttered strip malls, and desolate highways where streetlights flickered like dying stars. The gun's barrel tapped his headrest whenever he drifted too close or too far, a rhythmic reminder of his fragility. She spoke into her phone in hushed tones, her words unintelligible, but laced with a faint European accent. She checked her watch obsessively, as if racing against an invisible clock. The nightmare ended abruptly in an abandoned strip mall near the airport. The SUV stopped, and the woman stepped out without a word, vanishing into the shadows between two buildings like a ghost dissolving into fog. Carlos sat frozen, heart pounding, before flooring it to the gas station and dialing 911. His app still showed the fare active, its GPS glitching with an unknown destination, as if the night itself refused to let go. Jake's gut twisted. Carlos's story wasn't the ramblings of a rattled man, it was too precise, too vivid. He called for backup and ordered a search for the dark blue SUV. 20 minutes later, Officer Lisa Chen's voice crackled over the radio. She'd found it behind a 24-hour diner, 3 miles from where the woman vanished. The engine was still warm, the air thick with the acrid stench of bleach and something metallic that burned Jake's nose. The SUV's windows were tinted black, its license plates stolen from a Dallas vehicle. Inside, the horror began to unfold. Plastic sheeting draped the back seat, zip ties littered the floor, and a woman's purse lay wedged beneath the passenger seat. The ID inside belonged to Amy Patterson, a 28-year-old teacher from North Austin. Her driver's license photo, a smiling blonde with kind eyes, stared back at Jake, igniting a pang of dread. Detective Frank Morrison arrived, his face draining of color when he saw Amy's ID. "Martinez, we've been looking for her for 3 days," he whispered. Amy had vanished Monday night after leaving her elementary school job. Her car, found abandoned in a Walmart parking lot, had been driven away by a woman matching Carlos's description. Dark hair, European features, dressed like she belonged in a boardroom. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture too monstrous to comprehend. Morrison revealed the woman was linked to 2 other disappearances, Rebecca Foster, a 26-year-old nurse, and Diana Walsh, a 31-year-old marketing executive. Both vanished within the past month, their cars abandoned like Amy's. This wasn't random. She was a predator, stalking young women with chilling precision. The SUV's contents confirmed it. Neatly folded women's clothing sorted by size, wiped clean cell phones, and photographs of women going about their lives, oblivious to the eyes tracking them. Amy's photo was among them, snapped outside her school. A notebook detailed their routines, work hours, family ties, even intimate details of their lives, written in meticulous handwriting, like a scientist cataloguing specimens, A breakthrough came from GPS coordinates scrawled in the notebook's margin, pointing to a storage facility on Austin's outskirts. By 7 a.m., Jake and a team, joined by FBI agent Patricia Reeves, had the place surrounded. Inside Unit 47, they found a scene ripped from a nightmare. Amy Patterson sat chained to a metal chair in a makeshift cell, barely conscious but alive, her body bruised and dehydrated. Cameras, recording equipment, and medical supplies lined the walls, tools of a twisted mind. Amy confirmed her captor was the woman Carlos described, planning to move her that night, hence the SUV chase. Evidence suggested Rebecca and Diana had been held there too, but moved weeks earlier, their fates unknown. The woman was Elena Koff, a 34-year-old former psychiatric nurse who'd slipped into the country illegally after being fired from a Houston facility for patient abuse. She'd been living off the grid, feeding a sadistic obsession with controlling and documenting her victims' lives. That night, she melted into the darkness, but Amy's rescue sparked a manhunt that cornered her 6 weeks later in a New Mexico motel, her plans for more victims laid bare. Carlos was hailed as a hero, his call to 911 saving Amy's life. She recovered, but left Austin after the trial, haunted by her ordeal. Jake still patrols those streets, the memory of that night etched into his soul. Every shadow now holds the ghost of Elena Koff, a reminder of how close evil came to winning, and how one driver's courage stopped a monster in her tracks.